It is time to do some reviews of books. In fact, it's really kind of funny. I just checked out on my channel. It has been over a month since I have reviewed a book, the last one being Edge Dancer by Brandon Sanderson, and this needs to change. I want to have more reviews on my channel. Today I am doing two spoiler-free reviews for you guys. We are going to be reviewing Dark Matter by Blake Crouch and One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. This is an adult sci-fi slash thriller. This is a young adult thriller. So, for my spoiler-free reviews, the way that I do them is I give you guys 3 pros and 3 cons, if I can give you 3 of each, for the books that I review, and then I tell you just a little bit about my thoughts and feelings, as well as a bit of a premise to help you determine if this is the right book for you and a book that you want to pick up. The first book that I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review on is this book, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. As I said earlier, this is an adult sci-fi slash thriller. Now, I say slash thriller because it is actually marketed as an adult sci-fi, which I do completely understand, but the thriller elements in this book are many, so it is kind of both. We are following a man by the name of Jason who ends up having quite a night in chapter 1. He wakes up the following morning and goes home to his house, only to discover some differences that have occurred. His house has been completely redecorated. The voicemail on his answering machine is his voice, but it's not the message that he had put on there. And where's his wife? And for that matter, where is his child? They are nowhere to be seen. So Jason embarks on a metaphorical journey to find out what the heck is actually going on here. My first con for this book comes in the form of one of the characters in the book. Now, there's not a lot that I can say about this character without giving away spoilers, but what I will say is we have a character that seems like they're a main character, and then out of nowhere, that main character is just no longer there anymore, and it just left me with a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth. They play a vital role in the book, and then suddenly they're just no longer there for the remainder of the book, and yeah, that was a little bit weird. My second con for this book comes in the form of the reveal, I guess. There is more than one character that needs to learn of this reveal. This reveal, which obviously I can't say it because it's a spoiler, but this reveal is a pretty big reveal. The character's reaction was just to jump right on board with the reveal and accept it for what it was, and this just seemed really random. My third and final con for this book, something that is teased to occur. It's teased early on, and then it never eventuates. And yeah, that was also a little bit disconcerting because as the reader, I was relying on this information that we were receiving, that this was going to happen, and then it never did. My first pro for this book has to be our main character, our MC, if you will, Jason. There are certain things that prop up in this book where Jason really needs to think his way through situations, and he does this really, really well. I've read a number of books where we have characters who don't really seem to think their way through things, and they're going blind, and things get messy and they shouldn't have if you've just taken 2 seconds longer to think about it. Jason is the type of character who will think about everything and just think it through. My second pro for this book, and this is kind of a bit of a spoiler, so skip ahead about a minute if you don't want to hear this. But my second pro for this book is that we are dealing with multiple dimensions. Now, I say it's a spoiler because seeing the cover, you wouldn't expect that just from the cover, but I need to bring that up here because it is a theme that occurs throughout the book, and this is what I was referring to earlier when I was saying this is probably going to help you to determine whether or not you want to read this, because there are readers out there that are very black and white in their thinking with multiple dimension books. You either love them or you really don't. So if you're the type of reader who loves multiple dimensional worlds in a book, then you will love this book because there are many. It's not like there's one, two, or three. There are many different, many multiple different realities that occur in this book, and I just loved that and had an absolute blast with it. My third and final pro for this book would have to be the reveal, despite the fact that what I said in my cons still holds up, which is when this character found out that this other character who wasn't our main character found out, their reaction really was disconcerting. My reaction was, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I've never heard of anything like this before. I've never read anything like this before in a book, and this is just wonderful. Have you ever read a book where you've thought, this just can't get any better, and then it does? That's what the reveal was for me. It was just better than the book, which had been amazing to this point so far. So I end up giving this book 5 stars. If any of what I've said intrigues you, then I highly recommend going out and picking up this book, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. In the time we have left, I'm going to give a spoiler-free review of this book, One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. I'm going to premise this spoiler-free review by saying that I've had this book on multiple TBRs. Now, that's not something that I have really said before. I've said that I've had a book for a long time and just hadn't gotten to it yet, but this book has actually appeared on many TBRs, and then for whatever reason I just kept not getting to it in that TBR. So in June, I decided to put this as my third book on my TBR to ensure I got to it, and I'm so glad that I did. So this is a YA thriller, and this book revolves around 5 students at high school who end up receiving a detention. The reason really doesn't matter because the point is what happens at the detention. 5 students begin the detention walking into the room where the detention is held, but only 4 students are going to walk out of that detention alive. Why? How? What happened? Well, that is the point of the book, so I can't really say that. So it's just really, it's an amazing book. My first con for this book, as a generalization to me, this is a con in books, so I'll present it as a con, is that it is a multi-perspective book. Now, for those of you who don't know what multi-perspective books are, they are books that have more than 2 perspectives in them, and perspectives are determined, or whose perspective we follow is determined by the title of the chapter. So we could have in chapter 1 that we're following Michael, and then in chapter 2 we're following Adrian, and then chapter 3 we're following Suzanne, and then in chapter 4 we're following Sophie, but then in chapter 5 we go back to Michael, and that's what happened. The 4 characters that make it out of the detention, we follow each one of them in their own separate perspective chapters. I hope that made sense. In general, multi-perspectives for me are not books that I enjoy, or if I do enjoy them, I don't enjoy the fact that they are written as a multi-perspective. I'm someone who more enjoys books that are written from the perspective of an omniscient narrator. My second con for this book, again, I'm presenting it as a con, is when I read the reveal, I knew that there was no way that I would have been able to work out what the reveal was. Now, am I saying there is no way to work out the reveal at the end? No, there is a way. There is a path. There are clues that are there. It's just I certainly did not pick up on them. My third con for this book is, if you'll allow me to use the word bigotry, that appears within a family of one of the characters that we are following. So there is a character in this book who we learn ultimately that they are gay, but the family's reaction was a little bit triggering for me growing up as a gay person myself, especially when I was a child. There were a lot of different things that I went through, and so some of the reactions of family members to a character that came out in this book were a little bit triggering for me. Am I holding that against Karen M. McManus? Not at all, because I felt like it was quite realistic. My first pro for this book has to be Karen M. McManus as an author. I have grown to love her by reading one book. Her mind, the way that it works, the way she wrote this book was so good. And the way she approached writing it, the execution of this book was just done so brilliantly. Karen M. McManus, while she is writing a thriller, really spent time toying with the reader. Let's put it that way, because she did a masterful job at it. When I got to about the 100-page mark, I was sure I knew who done it. I was sure I knew. I couldn't have been any more wrong. My second pro for this book has to be the reveal. The reveal was actually amazing. It was one of those multiple reactions to a reveal kind of situations for me, where I was like, what? It's that? But how? I didn't work that out, but oh my gosh, it's such a good reveal anyway. And I think that is one of the best types of reveals for me as a reader, is me not figuring out who done it, finding out who it was, being incorrect, but loving it anyway because it's even better than what I thought it would have been. My final pro for this book is Karen M. McManus choosing not to go down this stereotypical path. So all of our main characters, we get to know them, or our suspects I should say, we get to know them pretty well pretty early on. If you're the type of person who's going to put someone into a box, be prepared that the box you try and put these characters into, they'll break out of that very quickly, because they're not a stereotype in any way, shape or form. And I just loved that. We have a jock who as in a sporting jock who has a heart of gold. We have a Harvard University aspiring student who isn't as nerdy as she may seem. We have a prom princess type character who is so incredibly intelligent. And we have a criminal in our midst who, once we get to know why they committed the crime that they committed, we kind of go, well, it's understandable. So it really just broke a ton of molds for me, and it just didn't sit with the stereotype for these type of characters that we had, and I really appreciated that. Final thought summing up this book is that it was absolutely amazing, and I do highly recommend this book. I gave it 5 stars. If we put aside the sci-fi genre for this book, then we can say that this is an adult thriller, this is a YA thriller, both of them examples of different age group thrillers that are done exceptionally well. And I definitely will recommend both of them to anyone who wants to read some amazing thrillers. But in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it, letting you guys go with peace, blessings, and so much love. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you again soon. Mwah! Thank you so much for watching, and happy reading!